that men who would 21 times or more a month were less likely to develop prostate cancer.
Hi, baby.
Bae,
Yeah, baby.
so I'm watching the video on and prostate cancer,
Uh-huh.
and it says men who 21 times a month are less likely to get prostate cancer.
Well, you straight.
What up, YouTube, man? Stevie Knight here. Night talk-ish. Grown man talk-ish today, man. Merch. Shop, StevieKnight.com. The Better Sex Doctor. Seen a few videos of hers on YouTube, bro. She gives some pretty dope information. Just as far as sex and health and things of that nature, man. So look her up if you so choose, man. But she pulled up to the Diary of a CEO podcast, and his channel is tough, too. Done a few reactions to guests he's had up on the channel, man, and today he's gonna be asking the Better Sex Doctor some questions, bro. But I pulled up to a very relevant portion of the podcast, being that we just had a discussion about corn and fondling yourself and all the drawbacks that come with that, and just want to see what she got to say about it all. Yeah, this first part says, does and decrease testosterone levels? I mean, I already know that's cap. I mean, like, I'm not anti-masturbation at all. I'm anti-fondling yourself to these corn stars, bro. Giving your nuts away to that shit. That's a whole different ball game, bro. But like, if you gotta do what you gotta do, bro. Like, concoct some images up in here. Just use yourself. Don't have to rely on meant to fuck you up. Just do an old school style, bro. Just close your eyes, think of something, spit, get it out your system, bro.
We talked about masturbation briefly. One of the big questions that people often ask me when I'm speaking to someone that has expertise on sexual health is about masturbation and whether it decreases your testosterone levels.
So it does not. There is one study, and it was done in 10 men who abstained for 21 days. And these are young, healthy men, right? And so this is what...
That's too small of a sample size, so that's irrelevant any fucking way. And I've seen different conclusions from like the whole prostate dilemma, like if you don't masturbate or if you don't ejaculate, it could mess up your prostate. But I think the information on that is conflicting.
Where I think everyone gets their data from is this one study. And so they took their testosterone before, they took their testosterone after. And what they found was that there was an increase by about 50 nanograms per deciliter, or 0.5, which is 50 nanograms per deciliter, which is not a huge amount, at 21 days. But we know that testosterone changes all the time. And two, there's a lot of anticipatory cues. When you've been waiting to masturbate for 21 days, like your brain is really excited. There's all these like, okay, I'm finally going to get to release. And that in and of itself can increase testosterone. So generally speaking, there's no empiric evidence that is convincing, high quality level evidence that masturbating or abstaining from masturbation will increase testosterone. And so people do report other benefits. And so I tell people, if you're getting other benefits from abstaining, by all means, go ahead, but don't like white knuckle it to gain some theoretical increase in testosterone that, one, was not even that large, and two, is probably not going to be proven in a larger sample.
What about the opposite then? Is too much masturbation going to have an adverse effect on us for men and women?
Yeah, so I think what I tell people is masturbation is generally safe as long as you are not masturbating to the point where you are now choosing to masturbate over doing anything else. So you're choosing to masturbate rather than have sex with your partner. You're choosing to masturbate over going to work, or I'm going to be a little late to work because I want to finish masturbating, or you literally can't sleep without masturbating every day. Like those sorts of things, you become reliant on this particular activity for the enjoyment that it provides.
Bruh, motherfuckers be rubbing it out that much where it's fucking your day to day up. You can't you coming to work late cause you had to. Bruh, you gonna rub a goddamn abrasion in your shit, dog. You gonna fuck your shit up, bruh.
That's when it becomes a problem. But if you're using it in terms of like, I'm masturbating to get orgasm and the benefits of orgasm that I do achieve from that, because maybe my partner doesn't want to have sex, or maybe I have more of a sex drive than my partner, or I don't have a partner. Like, let's be realistic. Like, if you don't have a partner, you're going to have to, if you want to orgasm, you're probably going to have to masturbate. And so I think the problem also comes in is when people only masturbate the same way every time, they only watch a certain type of erotic film, or they do the same thing every time, and their body habituates to that. And then they have a difficult time climaxing with a partner because they can't replicate what they're doing, whether what they're watching or how they're doing it with a partner.
Are we teaching ourselves something there? Are we teaching ourselves how we're aroused and how we orgasm?
Yeah. Your brain is very powerful, right? So when you're doing the same thing every time, your body is like, oh, this is what turns me on. This is what makes me orgasm. And then when you're with a partner, you're like, oh, I'm not getting that same kind of stimulation. And so it doesn't happen to a lot of people, but I would say certainly I see people where this does happen. And so, you have to sort of take a break and sort of reevaluate.
I don't think I've ever had a conversation about that with somebody, bro. It's a little too personal, bro. But like, motherfuckers' phalluses getting accustomed to the grip of their hand much more than the grip of a birth canal. Because your hand can grip it much tighter than any badge out here could. So if you playing with yourself that goddamn much, bro. But we said that before, but it was more like porn specific, where you were totally relying upon porn, where you can't get off with another woman just intimately, and dynamics that need to occur between you and a woman to get off, because that's much more involved than you just looking at the screen and rubbing one out. But she's just talking about just masturbation, period. Anything in excess is too much, bro. If you jacking off that fucking much, you're going to enjoy your hand with whatever lubrication you got much more than any goddamn vagina. You know what I'm saying? So, dangerous game, fellas.
Evaluate and try different things and get your body to habituate to different things, which takes a little bit of work. But sort of keeping it varied can be helpful.
What do you think of this idea of No Nut November?
Yeah, so I think I'm not a fan. The reason being is because I think it makes people feel like it's something they have to do. And if you want to, like I said, if you find benefit from abstaining from ejaculating for 30 days or 28 days or whatever it is, then by all means, like, go ahead. If you want to try something, there's no harm in it. But I think a lot of people, what they do is they feel like it's something that's going to bring them to some higher level, and they're going to become this great person because they're able to conquer this goal, but they're like literally miserable. So they're clenching their pelvic floor all the time because they're stressed about how they're not ejaculating. They may ejaculate at night, and so they'll have a nocturnal emission, and then they'll feel so bad because they've failed. It's nothing you can control. Nocturnal emissions are physiologic. They're totally normal, and 86% of men have had a wet dream at some point in their lifetime. Like, it's very, very common, and more likely the longer you are from ejaculating. So your body will take care of the ejaculate if you ejaculate or not. So you will either resorb the semen or you'll ejaculate at night. And so if you want to do it because you feel like, okay, I have a challenge, I want to conquer it, I want to see if I can do this, and you feel better because you're able to like not focus on sexual thoughts, or you're able to really find some other level of spirituality or something, by all means, go ahead. I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is making people feel bad because they can't do it or they don't want to do it. And with people feeling forced or feeling like they need to do it to prove something to someone else.
My initial thoughts of it, just seeing the headlines of it, No Nut November, I just take it as maybe men who have issues with ejaculating too much from either jacking off or sex or whatever, just want to conquer a goal to control that. You know what I'm saying? To prove to themselves, which is fire as fuck to me. Like, got issues with it, you're going to do something to mitigate this and then become a better person, bro. Challenging yourself is never a fucking problem, bro. But if you feel forced to do it, like you said, that's a whole different ball game. Because you're trying to take ejaculation away. That's just crazy. The fuck? That's just crazy, bro. You gotta get that. You gotta get that poison about you some type of way. It ain't even poison, bro. I'm just saying it's gonna poison you if you don't get that shit out at some point. Just don't rely on flicks to get at you. But No Nut November. I wish I would try to tell my girl we doing a No Nut November. She like, bitch, you shitting me? She go crazy. I'ma call her in and ask her that, hey babe, can I do a No Nut November? She said you can try to. We'll see how far you can get. That's fucking funny, bro. It's got to be for people who got there like jack off too much. If you can do a no nut November, then you can definitely beat porn.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I've had it explained to me is that it's something about semen retention gives you some clarity of mind or something. Because a lot of athletes, before they have their big fights or, you know, their bigger sort of Olympic competitions, they'll abstain from masturbation. I often hear in the UFC, for example, the mixed martial arts fighting championship, that athletes have not had sex or not ejaculated for 2 weeks before a fight or 4 weeks before a fight.
Yeah, so there's a lot of rhetoric there, I think, that comes from
I've heard both sides of that, though.
historical. So even in Greek times, they would tell people to avoid having sex or masturbating prior to, you know, big fights or just whatever sport they were playing. And so is it true in data? So if you look at the studies that have looked at people performing athletic feats, whether it's like cycling or running or whatever, they have not found that abstaining from ejaculation actually changes their ability to perform. And so in those cases, I say, well, there's no true scientific evidence that we have that it's going to improve. And in fact, if you are someone who, for example, has sex every morning or masturbates every morning, for whatever reason, that's a part of your routine, disrupting the routine can actually be harmful to performance. And sometimes the one thing you can say is in terms of disrupting performance is that after you masturbate, you do see an increase in heart rate a little bit. You have a rebound, so it decreases, and then you have a rebound increase in heart rate that can slightly affect your ability to recover from performance. But ultimately, I think if you find benefit from it because people report feeling more aggressive with abstaining, then by all means, if you find it helpful, I think it's fine. But is it mandatory? I don't think so based on the evidence we have right now.
I think you can trick yourself into believing anything too. Like if you feel like this is making you feel a certain way, then you're going to feel like this is making you feel a certain way, regardless of something physiological is happening. I feel like me not stroking it for 2 weeks is gonna make me perform better. If you already created this envision in your mind that that's gonna happen, then most likely it's gonna happen to you. But I've heard stories from the opposite, where having sex or doing whatever makes them perform better as well, bro. So like I said, to each his own. But post-nut clarity, the post-nut clarity I was thinking about, like after you've nutted after doing something you probably shouldn't have done, that shit is real.
That rumor many years ago, and I think I assumed it was correct. I heard the rumor, and this was the sort of evolutionary story that was attached to the rumor, was that once upon a time when we were out, I don't know, looking for a sexual partner, we would need to be more articulate and more persuasive and more, I don't know, attractive, basically. Mm-hmm. So we were at optimal attractiveness before we ejaculated. Then after we've ejaculated, that kind of energy goes out of us and recharges and rebuilds again. So when I heard that, I thought, okay, so if I'm speaking on stage or I'm doing a podcast, I want to make sure that I'm, you know, my mouth and my brain are attached, I'm articulate, I'm persuasive, whatever I need to be. So don't ejaculate or masturbate any time before doing anything where I need to use my brain and my mouth.
Well, you know, some people describe post-nut clarity, right? So they actually, on the alternative, feel like, and there's no good data on this. The data we have is on people, the very small subset of people who have post-coital dysphoria, so they actually feel bad. But in terms of clarity, you know, some people do, like when you're motivated to get a partner, right? You're sort of trying to woo them. You're really focused on that one singular effort, that once you've obtained that the very singular focus goes away, and now other parts of your brain can be activated to then be used for. Some people will describe being more productive, more able to get work done after masturbation. It's very individualized, or ejaculation, whatever it is.
Post-nut clarity. I've never heard anybody talk about this before, and I've also been told over the years that it's something that just men experience predominantly. And for anyone that doesn't know what post-nut clarity is, the definition that I understand is, and that I have experienced, I'm going to be honest, is that after ejaculation, your desire for the other person reduces quite significantly. And there's a stereotype here that women don't experience this post-nut clarity in the same way. Now, if I asked all of my male friends, if I said to them, has there ever been a time in your life where you were maybe texting someone you were attracted to, or, you know, you had some sort of sexual attraction to, and then you masturbated? Did your desire diminish after you masturbated for that person that you were just texting?
Hell yeah.
I think about 90% of my male friends would say yes.
Yes.
And they would describe it as if someone like took some like sunglasses off them, like a pretty extreme.
That's an excellent way to stop fucking cheating. Excellent way to stop cheating, bro. If you're really serious about it, you have an issue with it, bro. You know what I'm saying? But you about to go out, get that poison about your fucking system so you can walk around with clarity, dog, as opposed to walking around like a damn Rottweiler with that pink thing coming out, bro. You gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? It's the wild, wild west out here, boy.
Sudden change. And I've always wondered about this, whether this is just men, if it's just women, why it happens.
So when you look at brain studies, right, of people having orgasm, and what happens is when you have an orgasm, like your whole brain lights up, right? Because your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, like your pupils down. So all these different parts of your body are working. So your whole brain lights up. And then after orgasm, it gets very like quiet. And so we see that in women, it may take a little longer to get really quiet, and men, it happens very quickly. And this may be associated with sort of the hormonal changes that occur after orgasm. So we know that prolactin increases after orgasm, dopamine decreases, and there's sort of some evolutionary theories about why this happens. So one is after you ejaculate, if you are having ejaculation with a woman, then you don't want to have sex again. And the same thing with the refractory period, right? That there's some period of time where you're not going to want to have sex again, or you can't have sex even if you want to. And this is because evolutionarily, if you deposited your ejaculate into a woman, if you then had sex again, you could actually dislodge the semen, and then you have less ability to have fertilized an egg, right? And then the other thought is that you don't want to become overly exhausted, right? So that if you had the unlimited capability to have sex over and over again, that exhaustion could be a real thing, and so you're sort of a protective mechanism. And so those are sort of the theories as to why this is. And there's like an absolute refractory time where like you don't want sex at all. And then there's a relative refractory time where if you had a really novel or strong stimulus for sexual activity, that you would be able to. In terms of clarity, because we know there's a little bit of differences in brain, it may not be as obvious in women in terms of it takes them a little longer to have that coming down after the orgasm from the brain activity. But probably there is some, we just haven't studied enough. And I always say this, that when we look at studies for women's sexual health and men's sexual health, they're so lopsided. So if you type in penis in like a search engine for Google or for the PubMed, which is where you look up research articles, you're going to find 50,000 articles. If you look up clitoris, you're going to get 2,000 articles. So it's very lopsided in terms of what we study for sexual function. And in and of itself, sexual function by many people is not seen.
Because if anything need to be studied the most is the goddamn clitoris. Dick's pretty simple. Wham, bam, thank you very much, bro. But as far as the goddamn the women and all the inner workings of that motherfucker, bro, you need to goddamn a million articles to figure that shit out, bro.
As mandatory or important for health. And so the funding is less often available for sexual health. That's why we have such little data in some areas.
Going back to just closing off on the point about masturbation, is there a link between masturbation and prostate cancer? Because I've heard a lot of different things about it. Some people think that over masturbation is causing prostate cancer, and some people say the opposite.
Yeah, so there's actually a really good study that was done looking at ejaculation frequency and prostate cancer. And it was a very well done study. They tried to control for a lot of other factors. And so what they found was that men who ejaculated 21 times or more a month were less likely to develop prostate cancer. This is just a statistical number. It is not a number that
Baby.
Babe.
Yeah, baby.
So I'm watching the video on masturbation and prostate cancer.
Uh-huh.
And it says men who ejaculate 21 times a month are less likely to get prostate cancer.
Well, you straight.
I recorded you, bro.
Well, you straight. Let me say it for the people in the back.
You stupid.
You're welcome.
All right, babe. Bye.
Bye.
She's stupid as fuck.
sort of means anything in terms of, but we're seeing that, like, okay, so more masturbation may help. Why is that, right? So there's a prostate stagnation hypothesis that the fluids that, some of your ejaculate fluids come from the prostate. And so when you're ejaculating frequently, you're more often getting rid of that fluid and sort of replenishing it or cleaning the pipes, so to say. So that may be beneficial in terms of preventing prostate cancer. Now, do you have to masturbate or ejaculate or have sex 21 times a month? No, but there could be a benefit, yes. And so having a healthy, and it may be that those people who had sex more often or ejaculated more often were just healthier in other ways, right? They were able to have sex more often or masturbate more often because they were sufficiently healthy to do so. And
you need to be sufficiently healthy to masturbate, though. You need to be significantly healthy to have sex all the goddamn time. Sex is so good for your ass, your cardiovascular and every fucking thing, bro. That's why motherfuckers need to get y'all asses in the goddamn gym and bust these nuts with a woman. But yeah, you can be all fat fucking and jack off all goddamn day.
while they tried to control for those things, there's always sort of uncontrollable.
Or you may not. It would make sense to me that any motherfucker could sit here and jack off all fucking day.
Variables that come into those sort of studies.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is there another glaringly obvious factor that those people had more relationships, therefore their mental health was better, therefore X, Y, and Z?
I think they tried to control for comorbidities, but again, they're I don't think they controlled for. I mean, they controlled for marriage, I believe, but I'm not sure that they controlled for in a relationship versus not, and how healthy that relationship is. That certainly wasn't assessed.
I'll link to the study below so everyone can read for themselves about the controls in that study and how that was conducted. Linked to this is the subject of porn. It was interesting because I was doing a lot of research on the subject of that sounds a bit strange. I was doing a lot of research on the subject of porn and where conversation's at with the subject. And one of the quite startling things is a lot of people are trying to figure out how to stop watching porn. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are asking themselves for mechanisms to install things on their computer that prevent porn time and searching for solutions around porn addiction.
Excellent segue, bro. Excellent segue, dog. Before we dive into the sexpert, bro, I got hell for holding y'all up. Not even holding y'all accountable, bro. Just talking shit and trying to give y'all all the assistance in the world to break that habit, bro. Because regardless how the fuck you feel about it, you need to stop watching it or not. Fuck that. Y'all all need to stop watching it. Period. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Since I posted the You Are Gay video, pretty much calling y'all motherfuckers gay that watch heterosexual porn, because you require the visibility of another penis in order for your ass to get off. That is gay, right? I called y'all gay. A lot of y'all got all pissed off or whatever the fuck. But since I posted the videos, bro, I can't tell y'all how many fucking comments, messages I've been sent telling me thank you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how the fuck you feel about it, bro. Just the mere fact alone of you questioning your sexuality because of something you're about to do. It's all that is required for you to stop that action for that day. You know what I'm saying? That's all you got to do, dog. Next time you about to pull it out to some porn, just think about how gay your ass is, and you gonna stop. That's it. Point blank, period. You gonna stop, bro. Thank me later, bro. You welcome. Stop watching that shit, gay ass.
And a lot of people were searching about whether porn is a sin. And I think there's something broader here about the idea of shame, which is linked to porn. What is your take on this? Is porn a bad thing?
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't think porn is a bad thing. I will start with that. Is it a sin is more of a moral question, right? And I think that is something that you individually have to decide for yourself if you feel like morally it's inappropriate. But it's entertainment, right? It's just a different form of entertainment. And I think the issues with porn, because I would not say that it's 100% great. I think there are definitely issues with it. One, the big one that I've been very vocal about is children seeing pornography. So we know now that the average age of a boy seeing pornography is 13. And that's the average, meaning that as young as 8 to 10, boys are being exposed to pornography.
Boys don't stand a chance, which means the grown men, the next generation, do not stand a chance. Watching porn at 8, any type of porn you want at 8, 9, 10 years old, bro. That's gonna fuck your head up so much, bro. You're not gonna be able to stand a chance. No nut November, you're not gonna have no nuts. You're gonna develop all fucked up, bro. The fellas do not stand a chance. It's all part of the goddamn problem. All part of the agenda to fuck men up. The attack on fellas. It's the reason why porn is as accessible as it is. It's oversaturating the world, bro. Porn is terrible for you. Just because of the accessibility of it, man. Because of the agenda behind it. She's saying porn isn't bad. Yeah, porn wasn't bad 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when you had to rely on Playboys and VHSs and scrambled porn because you wasn't scrambling your brain up. But since it's so accessible to any age, you are reprogramming your fucking brain. It's terrible for you in every sense of the word, bro.
Which was not the case when, for example, we were growing up, right? You had to, I always say this, you had to find a tape, maybe, find a VCR in a room that nobody was going to walk in, or you had to find a magazine and hide it somewhere and go find it. And so it was not readily available. You had to work to be able to see that. And now seeing pornography.
Just think about that too. You had to work to get porn. There was work that was required, which is, at least it's something, right? It's not the best. I mean, it's not the most optimal way of getting a dopamine hit, but there's challenges that need to be met in order for you to get this dopamine hit, right? But now it's just, you can do it where, as long as you got some privacy. Hell, you don't even need privacy no more. You seen old buddy just jacking off on the girl, back of the girl's leg in the convenience store. Motherfuckers just jacking off all over the place, bro. We're literally, it's a clown show, bro. But anyway, at least there was some course of actions that needed to take place in order for you to get porn. Go to the motherfucking sex store. Go buy a Playboy. Go order some shit online or whatever the fuck, right? But now it's just, watching porn right now is like drinking water. You can literally do it anywhere at any time, and it don't matter.
Is very readily available. And so very often kids are seeing it, whether you, as a parent, don't want them to, whether you've put blocks on their phones and devices, they may have access to it from a friend, or they may see it somewhere else. And your brain is not fully developed to understand, one, what you're seeing, and two, to understand that this is not real unless your parent has talked to you about, this is sort of a movie that's not real life, and this is not what sex is really like. And so I think that has implications for how they view sex and how.
But that fucks adults up too. You can't just put that on the kids, bro. That fucks up shit for adults too. Cause she just was explaining how you get habituated towards certain habits, reaching orgasm and shit. You got these grown ass men who require certain things that they need to see on these porn videos. Guarantee you, when I was watching porn, I wasn't giving a fuck if it was real or not. All I gave a fuck about was wanting to see what I needed to see to bust my nut. I didn't give a fuck if it was real or not. Men ain't thinking about it being acting, right? Men need to see what the fuck they want to see, which is causing more focus on the visibility of the things and not the social dynamic and interaction between you and the woman, which is just going to cause that much more damage for a man. It's just, I mean, it's not as devastating. It's not as devastating as it is for a child, because the child stands no chance. But it's very devastating for men too, because you become addicted. Your dick don't work. You can't talk to a woman. You don't know how to be intimate with a woman. You don't go out with women, right? You prefer to watch porn over having sex. The false dopamine hits, the testosterone drops, being a prisoner of your impulses. The list goes on.
They then try to have sex with partners. And also, because your brain's not fully developed, you're getting this big rush of dopamine from viewing something like that. And that's not something that we traditionally got at that age, right? And so it can become very addictive. Now, as an adult, I think it's different because you have a fully formed brain. You understand the concept of this is not real, most people. And so it can be just a way to have pleasure, or even watch it with your partner and have pleasure. But yes, we are seeing some people who have problematic pornography use. In the literature, they say it's 4%. I suspect maybe it's a little higher now.
I mean, define being addicted. There's a spectrum to that. It's way higher. Ask the fellas in the comments, what percentage of men do you think having a porn addiction? Which means to me, how many men could give it up? How many men could give it up? 2%, 3%, regardless of how many times you watching it, how many times you stroking it towards it. It's a spectrum of that. But if you're not addicted to it, it wouldn't matter. It's just, recreation, right? But if you can't get rid of it, if you can't stop watching it, if porn was taken away, and you would be fucked up, you're addicted, bro. And that number is probably like 95% of men. They lowballing that shit. Because what men are going to go to these fucking surveys telling these people that they're addicted to porn? They're not going to tell y'all that.
Or people are finding that watching pornography is one, easier than going out and trying to find a partner. You don't have to face rejection. You don't have to face the difficulties and awkwardness of having a sexual encounter with someone that often happen. And so it can become a way, because it does relieve dopamine, just like anything else, release dopamine. It can then become sort of a way to feel better about anything, right? Like you can just be feeling down. Like, I want to watch pornography because it makes me feel better. It may not be just that you're really into sex. It's just that you're really like wanting that rush hit of dopamine. And then there's obviously the shame that comes with, oh my God, why am I using pornography just because I feel bad? And then you're like, oh, but I feel bad, and so I'm going to use porn again. And it becomes this sort of like negative, vicious cycle that can occur. But I think when used for entertainment and pleasure, I think it's fine. And many, many people use it for entertainment and pleasure without a problem.
I'm about to ask y'all right now in the comments. I mean, I'm going to ask y'all on the community post right now, man. But let me know in the comments, what percentage of men do you think are addicted to porn? But I'm about to ask y'all right now on the channel. What percent? That's not going to be no 90%. Y'all not going to think it's 90%. But I'm trying to think what y'all going to say. I think it's like 95%, bro. Like, if porn was taken away, y'all would be ruined. What percentage of men are addicted? All right, so what percentage of men are addicted to porn today? Meaning those that are unable to give it up. 80, 95%, 50 to 70%, 40 to 50%, 30 to 40%, 10 to 20%. I'm going to say 80 to 95%. But I think y'all are going to say like 40 to 50%. But anyway, man, interesting, bro. Some insightful shit, man. Thoughts? First.